Hi, it's Shirl Penney, founder and CEO of Dynasty Financial Partners, and I'm on the field in front of the United Bowl, the championship game for the UFL, where Dynasty has been so excited to be the official wealth management sponsor. But before kickoff, I have an opportunity to have a conversation with my good friend and business partner, Will Sterling, who's the Chief Investment Officer of TritonPoint. Will, thanks so much for taking a few moments to chat.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah,
Look around.
So look, I think, look around. This is a pretty interesting and fun place to have a conversation about the capital markets and investing. Speaking of which, we just had the SpaceX IPO. There's a lot going on around the world in the markets. How are you guys feeling about the market overall right now, and what are you telling clients?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting environment because there's a lot of reasons to be really excited about what's happening. I mean, capital markets are opening. That's generally a sign of positive sentiment when you're seeing these enormous, the largest ever IPO come to market. But obviously, some of the dynamics in the Middle East is problematic, and some of the energy concerns. And so what we're telling investors right now is just to continue to stay invested and opportunistically add. When the market gives you an opportunity where, for example, the last couple of days, tech sells off, it's an opportunity to add a little bit. Make sure you're rebalancing, but continue to stay invested now.
So, we're here, as I said, celebrating the UFL. It's a bit of a disruptive, innovative league, owned in large part by a good friend and actually co-namer of Dynasty, Mike Rapoli. So I got to ask you a question around alternative asset classes, the private markets. Sports obviously is one example of that. That's been pretty hot. I know it's something that you guys believe in terms of having alternative assets in your clients' portfolios, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so 100%. I mean, we are a big believer that private markets, I think we were just talking a moment ago about SpaceX. That's a good example. It's how much value creation happened in the private markets. Perhaps there's a lot more to go in the public markets, but enormous value creation happened in the private markets. And so making sure we're getting access to these disruptive companies early on, we think can provide a lot of growth and opportunities for alpha for our clients. In terms of private markets, you're absolutely right. We are a fundamental believer there. We believe in the asset class. We also believe more specifically to where we sit today, that talking about sports makes sense, but like most things, it matters how you access it. It matters both the fees you're paying, the costs, the people you're investing along the line, access to network, access to information is really, really important. And so making sure we set our clients up for winning is really important there.
You know, one of the things I know that you guys have been doing at TritonPoint recently is you've started to partner with more other financial advisors, almost like the outsourced chief investment officer opportunity, where they're coming to you to leverage your expertise, which frees them up to be with clients and go get new ones. Can you talk a little bit about, your thought process and how you look to continue to expand that business?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up right, is that advisors are exceptional about building relationships with clients, serving their needs, really being that trusted person to come with for everything else. That may not always end for their number one, their best skill, best use to be investors. And so putting it hand in hand, literally someone at the table with them where they can add synthetic scale by bringing an expert member of our investment team to complement their expert planning, to complement their expert service, and kind of round out the entire team. I mean, like most things we do, doing it alone is really hard. Doing it with the right partners is better. And so it's just it's a extension of finding the right people to help you execute.
Awesome. All right, well, last question. You guys have been growing really fast. So obviously you've been adding a lot of new clients. So if you were speaking to a potential new client, or maybe even someone who's looking for a financial advisor, perhaps for the first time, what advice would you give to an investor who might be looking for a new financial advisor, perhaps like TritonPoint?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in a moment, but I think private markets is such an opportunity. And when done right, it's such an additive for individual investors. But when done wrong, it can really kind of hurt. And so, the broader access to product was version 1 for private markets or alternative investors. But version 2 is not just access, but the right access, the right investments to add alpha. So I would say that if you really are interested in someone who's doing it different relative, that's disrupting, and you know that better than anyone, but someone who's exceptionally disruptive, I would think those are the kinds of investors that we want to talk to, because the ability to really execute at that level for them, I'm just really excited about, really passionate about.
Well, I'm really excited to be your partner, my friend. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it
Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation, and thank you for tuning in to this conversation with Will Sterling of TritonPoint.
Thanks, Shirl.